Hello, everybody. We have a really fun collection here today. Have you ever seen a little hand-sized bottle, perhaps with a corkscrew and a spoon? What could these be? So these are called snuff bottles. What is a snuff bottle, you say? Well, we're going back to the 1500s, late 1500s, Qing dynasty in China, okay? We had a king, and there were some missionaries who brought this king some tobacco. Okay, so they brought him some tobacco. In this era, it was often mixed with some other herbs and spices, and tobacco smoking at the time in China was really prohibited. It was really frowned upon. It was looked at not healthy. But if you just took some of that tobacco spice and you snorted it, do not do that, okay? But if you did that, they said, oh, it'll cure your ails. It doesn't, okay? Don't do it. But hence we have a snuff bottle. So when the missionaries originally brought it over, probably from America, they brought it in the 1600s. This snuff became a thing. They can trace it back to the 1500s, 1600s. It kind of went to China. And in China, the weather is a lot more humid and tropical than it is where tobacco is grown. So the tobacco was clumping together in the boxes. They traditionally transported tobacco in boxes. I love this little metal spoon. So then this king was reportedly like, hey, we need something really nice to transport this stuff we're snorting. We need to keep it the right humidity, right temperature. So this is kind of the shape of a traditional Chinese medicine bottle. So that's kind of how snuff bottles became created. By the late 1800s, they were growing tobacco in China, and it eventually became cheaper, more readily available, smoked. But at the time that these snuff bottles were really out and about and fancy, this was something for the very fancy folk. Not everybody could just have access to this beautiful little medicine bottle of products here. So I wanted to just go over the few that we have here. This is kind of a Tibetan style. It is often has a bone or some kind of, I believe a lot of the spoons in these other ones are ivory. They did use ivory. They used a lot of shells, turquoise, some traditional stonework in this. And this was probably one chain for your belt and then one chain for your little lid there. This one is just more of a ceramic. This was probably a later model. This one here. So this is called cloisonné. Okay, so this is an art form whereas there are metal wires formed and soldered together to form a design. And then that design is filled with liquid enamel. So this is a really fancy one. I think this one's probably pretty old. This one does have I mean, it's a carved spoon for sure. What else would it be besides ivory? Shell? So this one is called cinnabar lacquer. So it's a kind of layered resin that they would layer together and then carve. So they carved this oriental design into here. This has a cool little spoon, stick, whatever. Could have been a spoon that broke off. This one actually has a marking on the bottom. My favorite ones, however, are these because of the immense amount of absolute artistry that has went into these pieces. So these are reverse painted snuff bottles. And I mean, these tops could be jade. I'm not kidding you. These are nice tops. We got cork. We have potential ivory or shell spoon. That's a beautiful spoon right there. Jade top. And they would use, so the paintwork for this is very intricate. You're painting a backwards image of whatever you're painting with sometimes a needlepoint like paintbrush that is curved. So these are really pieces of art. We don't get them in very often, but when we had a collection like this, I was like, I need to show it off. So come on into Pipe Creek Mercantile, get your collectibles. We'll see you soon. Have a good day.